Hello, welcome to the Management Channel. My name is Jacques Alexis. I'm a faculty here in the Leadership and Project Management domain in CPS. In this video, I'm going to talk about the key concepts covered in Foundations of Project Management, Part 1. So the concepts are not in any particular order, but we start by defining project management, which is the management of projects. So we're going to tell you what management is all about. So let's start here. So the first concept is project. What is a project and what is not a project in organization? So I do have three definitions. We're not teaching any particular standards, really. We know that the PMI is probably the most popular standard or best practices out there in the project management body of knowledge. So we start with the definitions from the PMI. So the PMI, the Project Management Institute, in the 7th editions of the PMBOK, they define a project as a temporary endeavor undertaken to create a unique deliverable. Here, you need to know that this unique deliverable could be a product, a tangible product. It could be a service, or it could be a process you create. So let's underline the key words here in this definitions. We know a project is temporary, which means that it's not going to last forever. It has a time to start and a time to finish. It produces a unique deliverable. So these are the key things to remember here. According to the associations for project management, as an association in the UK, they define a project as a unique, transient endeavor undertaken to bring about change and to achieve planned objectives. As you can see here, you can see the commonalities: unique, transient, which mean temporary, another word for it, and to create some, to achieve objectives. So when you have a project, you need to know what you need to deliver, that unique deliverable. You need to know what it's about. And according to the associations for project management, you actually need to know the objectives of the project. The third and the most comprehensive definitions of a project was provided by the British Standards Institution in BS 6079, published or updated in 2019. They define a project as a unique process consisting of a set of coordinated and controlled activities with start and finish dates undertaken to achieve an objective conforming to specific requirements, including constraints of time, cost, and resources. This is a very comprehensive definition. As you can see here, you need a start and finish dates. If you have a project, you need to have some specific requirements that you're trying to achieve, and projects are constrained by factors such as time, cost, and other resources. The key things here is to take a look at the commonalities in those definitions. Projects are temporary organizations, and they must have clearly defined objectives. Now, before we move to the next concept, I'd like to provide you some examples of projects here. Building a bridge, developing a new car prototype, or implementing a new management process are all three examples of project, because they do have the key characteristics of these definitions we've seen. So can you provide some examples of projects, whether you Google it or whether from your work experience, you can actually start writing down some project you'd like to work on as part of your training. So the second concept is management. What is management? I do have two definitions, one from Robbins and Coulter, and the other one from Greenwich and Coons. So according to Robbins and Coulter, management is the process of coordinating work activities so they are completed efficiently and effectively with and through other people. So what you're looking at here is, what management is truly about. It's about coordinating work activities. It's about getting things done effectively and efficiently. The second definitions from Greenwich and Coons, management is the process of designing and maintaining an environment in which individuals working together in groups or teams, for that matter, accomplish efficiently the selected end, whatever they have to deliver, whether it's a unique deliverable as we talk about, a project, or whatever the case might be. So there are three key concepts to remember. Management is about effectiveness, that is concerned with the achievement of objectives, that's goal attainment. It is about efficiency, which is concerned with the achievement of objectives with the least amount of resources, that's resource usage, resource management. And it is also about teamwork, two or more people working together to a common goal. So these are the three key concepts of management, and you're going to see whatever you're managing, whether it's a project or whether it's a group of assets, whatever the case might be, you'll find out yourself trying to get things done effectively, efficiently, and through people, right? So what are the key functions of management? What I'd like you to know is Professor Henri Fayol was the first to identify what project managers, what all managers in general do. In a book published actually very long time ago, in the 1920s, and we're still talking about the functions of management. So the functions of management include planning, organizing, that also includes staffing, leading and controlling. So in planning, what you do, you must know what you're trying to achieve, what are the goals. In organizing and staffing, you define structure, you recruit and train your people. In leading, you try to influence people, because leadership, we're going to talk about it later, is about power and influence. And controlling is about measuring what you're trying to do and taking corrective actions when necessary. So these are the key functions of management. So how about project management? We know what a project is. We know what management is. How about project management? Robert Kreitner, in his book Management, defined project management as a team-based management methodology for accomplishing specific tasks or project that has a finite beginning and end. So remember the key characteristics of the project. The PMI define a project or project management as the applications of knowledge, skills, tools, and techniques to project activities to meet the project requirements. So those two definitions are based on observations, how people do things in the workplace, and they lead to the first principle of project management. Project success begins with clearly defined objectives and requirements. So if you want to succeed, you must know what are the objectives of the project and what are the project requirements. Now, Here, you need to know that a principle is a guideline that is nearly universally applicable. Principle can be either prescriptive, that is, they tell you how to do something, or they can be descriptive. This means they describe a situation. So in management, we do not have universal principles, but we need to learn to recognize the context in which those principles apply and to apply them to succeed in what we do in management. So that's what we need to know. Project management principles. So we know what a principle is, but according to the PMI, principles are guidelines for strategy, decision-making, and problem-solving in the management of projects, right? So if you take a look at the right side of my screen, from the top, I have some of the principles of project management that the PMI identified. Not all project management principles are listed here. And at the bottom, you can see the project management performance or project performance domains. So as you can see, guidelines for strategy decision-making, if you know those project management principles and you know how to apply them, so then you will apply them to succeed in the project performance domains. Now, what the performance domains are listed here, and you may be asking yourself, what is a performance domain? So a performance domain, according to the PMI, is a group of related activities that are critical for the effective delivery of project outcome. Engaging stakeholders, for example, were working as a cohesive team are part of the performance domains in project management. Development approach and life cycle, planning, project work, project delivery, measurement, and uncertainty are what the PMI call project performance domain. The group of related activities that are critical for the effective delivery of project outcome. So project triangle, the triple constraint, or the project triangle here, traditionally, this is how we measure success in project. If you deliver the scope of the project according to the stakeholders' requirement and the design specifications, and you do it on budget and on time, your project is a success. Triple constraint, project triangle. If you change one side of the triangle, you're likely to change one or two of the other sides. So the new trend in project evaluations is that the triple constraint, is no longer sufficient. So we need to take a look at the impact of the project and the product of the project on society, the environment. We have to take a look at the legal aspect of all this. And obviously, we need to take quality into consideration, customer satisfactions and resource usage. Like we talk about management efficiencies, about how you use resources in the project. Okay, so project management methodologies. So project management methodologies are systems of practices, techniques, procedures, and rules used by project managers, or in any professions, really. So they describe how a project should be carried out. They are a set of templates, tools, procedures for managing projects specific to any industry. They serve as roadmap for the project lifecycle, which we're going to talk about in a minute. So what you need to know, methodologies are usually based on proven theories that we call principles. For example, agile principles or waterfall principles. They sometimes based on values, experience, and beliefs. that we call culture. So this is the concept of project management methodologies, which we call also project management approaches, the way we manage our project. So we're going to talk about that in a minute. So, but let's talk about development approach or methodology. We already, when we talk about development approach, we're talking about methodology. Development approach defined here is a method used to create and evolve the product, service, or result during the project lifecycle, such as predictive, iterative, incremental, adaptive, or hybrid method. So, when there are so many development approaches out there, you're asking yourself, when should I use one or the other? So predictive approach is useful when the scope of the project can be defined at the start of the project. This is what you'd call a waterfall approach to development. Hybrid is a combination of adaptive and predictive approaches. Adaptive approach is actually going to be useful when requirements are subject to a high level of uncertainty and volatility and are likely to change throughout the project. So if you don't know what's the project really going to look like at the end, so your best bet is to adopt what we call an adaptive development approach. So iterative it means that you progressively add features to the project scope until the final deliverable is complete. If you're deploying a service, you don't have to deploy the complete service in one time. You can actually start with one part of the service or one aspect of the service, and then you do it as you go. You can add more features to the service as you go. So incremental approach is an adaptive approach in which the deliverable is produced successively, adding functionality until the deliverable is considered complete. So what is the difference here? So in incremental, you can add functionality until it is complete. In iterative, you can actually divide the project into different parts, and you have iterations that sometimes we call sprint in agile development to deliver the project. In iterative case, you can think about, it could be a software development, it could be a project where you divided it into different phases and you iterate each phase or each part you want to accomplish in the project. So these are the development approaches or methodologies that we often talk about in project management. Project phase. So what is a project phase? You have to ask yourself that. A collection of logically related project activities that culminate in the completions of one or more deliverables. So that's a definitions for you from the PMI. So things to keep in mind. Project managers must understand what activities are carried out and what deliverables are produced within each phase of the project. If you're a project manager, if you want to use a phase gate or phase review approach to your project, the question is, what do I do in every phase of the project? So this is an example for you here. These are the phases of a project. The phases of a project can be, any number of phases you'd like, and how you name it depends on your industry and the nature of the project. So you have the startup phase. In the startup phase, for example, you create a project charter or you assemble a team. In the planning phase, for example, you collect the requirements, you create a WS. Just giving you some examples here. I'm not going to read this to you because this is about reminding you of the key concepts we covered here. In the development phase, this is where you create the product, the unique deliverable we were talking about. You develop a prototype, you produce final deliverables, you code software applications, whatever your case, whatever your project might be. But in development, this is when you do the work of the project. And in testing, you inspect the deliverable, perform test, etc. In deploy, this is where you deploy completed module features of your project. And in close, you perform closing activities. You release project personnel, document lessons learned, you perform a final project evaluations, whatever your case might be. So what is important to note here is that some project may have a distinct design phase that is not including here. So some people say, well, I plan and then design and then I develop. So that's okay too. You can add that to your project. That's not going to be a problem. But this is how project unfold over time. So that's what you're looking at here. So life cycle. We talk about life cycle phases. So when we talk about life cycle, we're talking about the series of phases that a project passes from its inception to its completions, from start to finish. So the life cycle of project is determined by the development approach and the desired delivery cadence that we talk about. So how many deliveries you're going to have in the project, timing and frequency of project delivery. So that's what we talk about. Some projects can have single delivery, multiple deliveries, or periodic deliveries. Now, this is here an example of project life cycle, and I give you phases, and I'll give you examples here of project life cycle phases. As you can see, the 6 phases here are different from the 5 phases here, but you can see the similarity here. I have analysis, design, construct, test, and rollout. So for this, you could name your software development lifecycle phases like that. So program, we talk about program in PGM 5900. So the program is a set of related projects, right? So related projects, so they have to be related. Now take a look at my screen here. I have a graphic with examples of programs and portfolios. You can have program activities that are managed in a coordinated way to obtain benefits not available from managing them individually. So here we're talking about program set of related projects, right? So what else we talk about? We talk about a portfolio. A portfolio is a set of project programs or sub-portfolios and operations managed as a group to achieve strategic objectives. So when you take a look at a portfolio, you can have programs in the portfolio. You can have sub-portfolios, but also you can have a standalone project. That's one thing to keep in mind. A project doesn't have to be in a program in order for it to be in a portfolio. So portfolio management is the centralized management of one or more portfolios to achieve strategic objective. The portfolio of an organization reflects its strategic objectives. So what else we talk about in PGM 5900, Foundations of Project Management? We talk about the difference between output and outcome. So outcome is the end result or consequence of a process or project. And outcome, in other words, is the benefit obtained from undertaking the project. Examples here, we can carry out a project to try to gain market share or increase revenue or profit. Right here, we're talking about outcome. Output is the result obtained from performing the project management processes and activities. So here we're talking about deliverables. So the output is an artifact defined here. So example of an output is a measurable, verifiable deliverable, a software applications, a website, etc. That's the output of the project. So the output and the outcome are not the same. Customer value versus business value. What's the difference between the two? First, you need to know value is the benefit that a product or service provides as perceived and measured by a stakeholder, for example, a customer or a shareholder. So there is a difference between customer value and business value. For the customer, the value is the worth, importance, or usefulness of a product, feature, or function. It is the difference between the total benefit obtained from the product or service and the total cost incurred to obtain it. So customer value is formed as a result of the customer's perceptions that the level of product or service quality exceeds the cost incurred to procure that product or service. Now, business value, on the other hand, is the value captured by the business in terms of profit, cost reductions, or improve efficiency. If you can't improve efficiency, then you can reduce costs and increase profit. Every dollar you save in cost is $1 more in profit. So the way to say it, another way to say it, is that business value is the net benefit realized by a firm in the business ecosystem. So this is why when we are talking about benefits that a project will provide to organizations, we need to be specific and measurable. So project management principles, actually, we talk about this already. We don't have to go to that. It's looked like I went back to some slide that I previously covered. So project lifecycle versus product lifecycle. So project lifecycle, we'll already define it, the series of phases that a project passes from start to finish. Product lifecycle, on the other hand, is a series of phases, I'd say, that represent the evolution of a product from concept through delivery, growth, maturity, and to lead time. So now take a look at here. Obviously, research and development is an important phase in product life cycle. We don't have research and development here, but we have introductions, growth, maturity, and decline. Every project, every product will go through these phases. It's going to be the job of the product manager to know when a product is approaching the decline phase to update the product or to replace it with a new one. Replacing your own product with a new one to maintain your market is called cannibalism. So that's one aspect, one thing people talk about in product management. So performance measurement baseline, what it is, the performance measurement baseline is an integrated scope, schedule, and cost baselines used for comparison to manage, measure, and control project execution. So as you can see here, I have a budget for the project, and I at any point during the project, I can measure my performance to take a look at how my project will end, and what I'm earning from it when you have a baseline. So this is the performance measurement baseline. So what you need to know here is that the performance measurement baseline, PMB, is an integrated scope, schedule, and cost baselines that we use as standards to measure performance in project management. Now, what is the difference between project lifecycle phases and project management process groups? Now, this is confusing for a lot of people. Some people, when they ask them for project phases, they say, well, initiating, planning, executing, monitoring, and controlling and closing. This is incorrect. Initiating processes, planning processes, executing processes, monitoring and controlling processes, and closing processes are what you see on my screen. They are processes. They are not life cycle phases. For example, monitoring and controlling is not a life cycle phase. It's just a process group. We talk about process group. So as you can see, to my left, example of life cycle phases, and to my right, project management process group, a set of related activities that we can perform in a project or in a phase of a project. For example, requirement analysis, design, implementations, verification, maintenance, which is not part of the project, but after you test your product, it works, you have a prototype, what you do, or if you implement it, or if you send it to operations, you have to maintain it. Maintenance is not part of the project. So here, what you need to understand is you could initiate, plan, execute, monitor, and control and close each phase of your project, or you can do it for an entire project. So that's the key difference between the two. So that's going to be all for this video. So if you have any questions, please feel free to chat to me, and subscribe to the channel to receive an alert when new videos are made available. Thank you for watching.